students. Today we are going to start a new topic, that is electric current or current electricity for class 12. Already we have done the topic electrostatics. So in this topic today we are going to see some basic introductory thing or basic concepts of this topic electric current, and some of them already we have done in class 10. So we start with electric current. If you see, already we have done this definition in class 10. So what is electric current? So electric current, it is the ratio of charge per unit time, that is amount of charge flowing through the conductor with respect to time. It is nothing but electric current, and electric current, it is represented by I is equal to Q upon T. So basically I represents electric current, Q represents charge, T represents time. Okay, and here we can define 1 ampere definition also. So 1 ampere is equal to 1 coulomb upon 1 second, because coulomb is the SI unit of charge and second is the SI unit of time. So we can define the 1 ampere definition. It is the amount of, or we can say, when 1 coulomb of charge transferred from one terminal to other terminal of the wire in 1 second, then the current flowing through the wire is 1 ampere. So this is all about the electric current. Next, there are three types of electric current as per the types. So first is steady state. We'll see here. First type is steady current, second varying current, and third alternating current. So steady current is also called as DC current, isn't it? So we'll discuss in detail now. If you see the steady current, if you draw the graph between current, so it is the graph between current against time t. Okay, so if you see, time increases along x-axis and current along y-axis. So in this graph, if we increase the time, magnitude of the current remains constant, isn't it? So such type of current is called a steady current, means magnitude of the current will not change with respect to time, means current or magnitude of the current is always remains constant as time passes. So such type of current is called as steady state current. Next, varying current. And one more thing, steady state current or steady current is also called as DC current, isn't it? Now next type is varying current. So what is varying current? If the magnitude of the current changes with respect to time. So here in first case we have steady current. In steady current we have seen magnitude of the current remains constant with respect to time. But in varying current, the magnitude of the current changes with respect to time. As time passes, the current also changes. Magnitude of the current also changes. Such type of current is called as varying current. That it does mean current varies with respect to time. That's why it is called as varying current. So next type is alternating current. So this is the very important type we have with us, alternating current. So if you see the third type, that is alternating current. So in alternating current, if you see, the magnitude and directions both are changes in alternating current. How? Magnitude changes continuously and directions changes periodically. Here I would like to explain this term. Suppose if you draw the graph, okay, time t, once again I'll draw. If I draw the graph, time t on x-axis and current on y-axis. So here, if you see the magnitude, see this magnitude continuously changes. Maximum, then in minus, then in plus, then in minus, continuously changes. But if you see the directions, first half positive, second half negative, then third half again positive, then fourth half again negative. Means we can say magnitude changes continuously, means the current is not at all constant at particular moment, isn't it? So magnitude changes continuously and directions are changes periodically. Such type of current is called as alternating current, that is AC current. So hope I am very clear with all three types of the electric current. Now next definition is potential difference. This definition already we have done in class 10. So before I could explain potential difference, we have to see the work done. We know that the definition of work done, it is the product of potential difference into charge. isn't it? And from this definition only we can frame the definition of potential difference, because if you write work done is nothing but product of potential difference into charge, so if you prepare the formula for V, then V will be W upon Q, that is work done upon charge. So in this way we can explain both the definitions. So first I'll explain what is work done. So here work done, it is nothing but product of potential difference and charge, and the SI unit of work done is joule. Next, the potential difference. What is potential difference? It is the ratio of work done per unit charge. Means we can say W amount of work done required or energy required to transfer Q amount of charges from one terminal of the conductor to the other terminal. Okay, then we can say potential difference is V. Similarly, SI unit of the potential difference is volt. Okay, it is measured by volt by using device voltmeter. So how do we define 1 volt definition? So 1 volt is nothing but 1 joule upon 1 coulomb. Same way, because SI unit of volt is nothing but SI unit of potential difference is nothing but volt. So we can write 1 volt. So SI unit of work done is nothing but joule, and SI unit of charge is nothing but coulomb. So what is 1 volt potential difference? When do we say there is a 1 volt potential difference? When 1 joule amount of energy is required to flow 1 coulomb charges from one terminal of the conductor to the other terminal of the conductor, then we can say the potential difference between two terminals is 1 volt. Hope I am very clear with you. So once again, my dear student, potential difference is nothing but work done upon charge, SI unit is volt, and work done is nothing but the product of potential difference and charge, and the SI unit of work done is joule. Now next law, already we have done this law in class 10, Ohm's law, the great Ohm's law. Okay, Ohm's law, it gives the relation between potential difference and current at constant temperature or same physical state of the conductor. So if you consider, according to Ohm's law, my dear student, write down the clear statement of the Ohm's law, listen it carefully and try to copy it. At constant temperature, the potential difference between two terminals of the conductor is directly proportional to the current flowing through the conductor. I repeat, at constant temperature, the potential difference between two terminals of the conductor is directly proportional to the current flowing through the conductor. So we can write V is proportional to I. My dear student, don't forget one thing, we cannot write I proportional to V, otherwise it will get changed, all the formula will come wrong. Okay, so we have to write V is proportional to I, that is potential difference is proportional to I, because current, what is the root cause of current? Unless and until there will be potential difference between two terminals, we cannot flow the current. That's why potential difference is the basic cause of the current, isn't it? Current is there due to the potential difference, isn't it? That's why we have to write potential difference is directly proportional to I. Then if you write if you remove this proportionality sign, then V is equal to IR, isn't it? So here I is current and R is constant called as resistance. So Ohm's law we have done. So V is proportional to I, that is V is equal to, here you write down one more formula, V is equal to IR. Okay, so if you, from this formula we can also write R is equal to V by I, and that's what we are going to explain in next definition. So what is resistance? So resistance is nothing but property of material which opposes the flow of charges or flow of current. This property is called as resistance, and resistance is indicated by symbol capital R, and the formula for resistance is potential difference upon I from Ohm's law, isn't it? And we can say it is the ratio of potential difference upon I, and the SI unit of resistance is Ohm, as it was invented by scientist Ohm. Then again, for MCQ, they may ask one question, what is 1 ohm resistance? So we can write 1 ohm is nothing but 1 volt upon 1 ampere, isn't it? So in this way we can also explain the 1 ohm resistance. Next, here it is written IV characteristics, but here we can say, we can't say it IV characteristics, rather than we can say it is the graph between current and voltage, that is ohmic and non-ohmic conductor or resistance. So we'll say ohmic resistance or non-ohmic resistance. My dear student, if you draw the graph, voltage against current means potential difference on x-axis, here we can say potential difference on x-axis and electric current on y-axis, And then the slope of graph gives the resistance, because resistance is nothing but potential difference upon r. Okay, then slope of the line will give the resistance. If the slope of line is straight line, then we can say current and voltage, that is current and potential difference, are directly proportional to each other, isn't it? And if the slope of line is not straight, then it is called as non-ohmic resistance or non-ohmic conductor or non-linear also. So that's what I wanted to explain. If the slope of line is straight, okay, then such conductors are called as ohmic conductor or ohmic resistant. Okay, and if the slope of line is not straight, then it is called as non-ohmic. Non-ohmic means the current is not proportional to potential difference, or potential difference is not exactly proportional to the current. Clear? Then next point also we have done in class 10, factors affecting on resistance of the resistor. Okay, so what are the four different factors which can affect on the resistor or resistance of the resistor? So there are four main factors. First basic factor is the temperature. My dear student, in class 10 we have learned, if you increase the temperature of the conductor, the resistance is going to decrease for semiconductor. But in the terms of conductor, or in the case of conductor, if we increase resistance, if you increase temperature, its resistance will also increase. Listen it very carefully. In terms of conductor, good conductor, if we increase the temperature, its resistance increases. Means current flowing ability of the conductor decreases with increasing the temperature, isn't it? So first factor is temperature, second factor is the material being used to produce conductor. So these are the two basic factors, but yes, we are going to focus only two important factors, third and fourth. So my dear student, according to the third factor, resistance is directly proportional to length. Again I want to explain, because if you increase the length of the conductor, more length provides more path, longer path for the electric current, and longer path gives more resistance. That's why if you increase the length, resistance of the wire or conductor also increases. Second factor, so it is given first point. Second point, resistance is inversely proportional to area. So how do we explain this? My dear student, if you increase area, isn't it, if you increase area, more thickness of the conductor gives more number of free electrons, and more number of free electrons give the more current. And we know that, my dear student, if you increase the current, resistance will decrease. Here we have already seen in Ohm's law, if you increase the current, resistance will decrease. So this is all about this second point. Once again I will explain. If you increase area, okay, more area gives the more number of free electrons, and more number of free electrons will increase current, and if current increases, resistance will decrease. That's why resistance is inversely proportional to area. So these are the two factors which heavily affect on the resistance. Then if combinedly we can write R is directly proportional to L and inversely proportional to area. And if you want to remove this proportionality sign, then one constant will come. That constant is called as rho, and rho is resistivity or specific resistance. And if you calculate the formula for resistivity, it will come Ra upon L. Okay, so now next definition, hope you understood the factors affecting on the resistance. Next point, the resistivity, isn't it? So if you see the resistivity formula, it is nothing but rho is equal to Ra upon L, and this formula been rearranged or derived from this formula. Okay, factors affecting on resistance. So here we can define, don't try to learn the definition, try to understand it. Rho is equal to Ra upon L. So how do we define rho? So resistivity, it is the resistance of wire of unit cross section area per unit length. I repeat, resistivity is nothing but resistance of wire of unit area per unit length. It is called as resistivity, and the SI unit of resistivity is ohm meter, because resistance ohm, area meter square, and length is measured in meter. So meter square and 1 meter will get cancelled. So SI unit of resistivity is ohm meter. And my dear student, here I want to explain one basic difference between resistivity and resistance. Resistance for particular material is, means here if you see this whiteboard, then I could explain what is the difference between resistance and resistivity. Suppose this is the conductor, isn't it? And as this conductor is made by large number of small pieces, okay, Clear? If you say the length of this conductor is 20 centimeter, isn't it? And resistance is 10 ohm and resistivity rho is 0.2 ohm meter. So my dear student, my question is that if we cut this conductor into two pieces, 10 centimeter and 10 centimeter, isn't it? 10 centimeter and 10 centimeter, then we can say as the length is directly proportional to resistance, so resistance will also half. So resistance of this part will be 5 ohm and resistance of this part will be 5 ohm. But my dear student, as resistivity is constant term, so resistivity for this particular half part of the conductor is always same, that is 0.2 ohm meter only. Because resistivity is constant, it will not affect the length. If it is there increase or decreasing the length will not affect on the resistivity. So resistivity for particular material is always constant. Means resistivity is the resistance of this particular area. If you consider any small area of particular length, okay, then it is resistivity. And if you consider whole conductor, then it is called as resistance. Are you getting my points? Mean resistance is always greater than resistivity. Okay. Next. So hope it is clear with you difference between resistance and resistivity. Now next point is conductance, my dear student. So what is conductance? So conductance, it is the reciprocal of resistance. So conductance, it is represented by symbol G. So G is equal to 1 upon R and the SI unit of conductance is ohm inverse or 1 upon ohm, as it is the reciprocal of resistance. The next definition is conductivity. So if the conductance is reciprocal of resistance, so similarly conductivity is a reciprocal of resistivity. Very easy. And it is represented by symbol sigma. So sigma is equal to 1 upon rho. So again SI unit ohm inverse meter inverse, that is 1 upon ohm meter also we can write, because it is the reciprocal of resistivity and unit of resistivity is ohm meter. Hope you understood. The next definition is current density. So what is current density, my dear student? Current density is nothing but, it is represented by J, small j. You write down here, it is not given. J is equal to current upon area. Means current flowing through the wire per unit area. It is nothing but the current density. मतलब कितने एरिया में कितना करंट फ्लो हो रहा है, कितने चार्जेस जा रहे हैं. Okay, it gives the density of current, isn't it? And the SI unit of current density is nothing but ampere per meter square. Here A indicates ampere, M indicates meter. Okay, so hope I am very clear with these all basic concepts. Okay, and so now here we will stop. Next we'll see from drift velocity. Okay, hope you understood. Thank you.